they call me Crazy Jack. And I think crazy is good. We are crazy, but we're not stupid.
You keep pushing because you believe in yourself and in your vision.
Stay hungry, stay foolish.
The Creativity Podcast.
Hey guys, welcome to the Creativity Podcast, the podcast for entrepreneurs and intrapreneurs who want to make a difference. Today we have a special guest, Dale Morgan, founder of Astound, an award-winning creative agency with state-of-the-art fabrication capabilities across North America. Dale is a finalist of Ernst & Young Entrepreneur of the Year Award. His team at Astound is apparently amazing because they brought projects to life for amazing brands such as Google, Nike, Shopify, Mastercard. So we're talking big brands here, amazing companies. And they expand the services from trade shows, events, and experiences into retail strategy, design, and outfitting, and architectural project development. So that being said, Dale, thank you for being on the Creativity Podcast. Thank you for taking the time.
Thanks so much. This is great. Thanks for having me.
I'm happy that you're taking the time, and I'm sure you're going to inspire our listeners here. And I have so many questions for you. First of all, maybe you can say in a nutshell, in a few sentences, how Astound help other companies. I know I said it a little bit, but you are going to say it better than me.
Wow, that's a big question. We do so many different things at this point. It's hard to keep up, but kind of at the highest level, we're problem solvers. And there's all different types of challenges, especially today in the times that we're living in. So we find, being a creative first company has really helped us navigate through the COVID days. And we, as you mentioned, we do a variety of things from experiences, a lot of live events, trade shows, pop-ups, things like that. But of course, with all that stuff going away, today we do a lot of other interesting things, from virtual versions of those things I mentioned to manufacturing. Well, the latest is shovels and houses. So
Wow.
we basically will do pretty much anything right now to keep our infrastructure together, and it's been a wild ride.
Wow, that's crazy. I have a lot of questions about Astound as well a little bit later. First of all, I wanted to say how I discovered you and Astound, and it's actually in the Inc. magazine, in the best 100 companies. You're in the top 2 for marketing and advertising, which is amazing, and I want to talk about that later. But I'm very interested in you, first of all, how you got there, your path, and I'm sure listeners are too. So one thing I've heard, or maybe I should say one thing I've read, is that you weren't the best student when you were younger. And that's what I've read. And I believe it can be of interest for parents out there listening, or young entrepreneurs, whether the kids or their career, to understand how you can make it without having amazing grades. So what were the qualities you could capitalize on?
Well, wait, let me just clarify that, because I wouldn't say I was a bad student per se. I maybe, because in the early days, I got very good grades, very good. I was a very good little boy and got all sorts of good grades, but I was always a bit of a class clown kind of person. Later in high school, let's call it a more strategic approach to school, where my goal was 51% generally. I just wanted to pass, because I knew I was good at tests and I could kind of skate by on ability. So that's really it. So it wasn't I didn't know, I didn't understand the topics. I just was just a bit of a rebel, I guess you could say. So
Fair enough, fair enough. Yeah, so you weren't okay. Maybe I misread about that, but
That's okay. No, I like that. Well, that's a bad student, right? That is the definition of a bad student. It's even worse when you don't try. So that's yeah. So that is true. Bad student. I
so
will take
what
it.
were your strengths at this moment where you were younger? So let's say in high school and then going into your studies. What were your strengths and how you got into entrepreneurship? What was the bridge here?
Um, well, in school, my strengths. I mean, I cared more about basketball than
That's
anything
a strength.
else. Yeah, I loved basketball. So that was a lot of fun. And beyond that, I was always a hard worker. Like I was, I was the kid with the paper route. I was the kid with the cleaning contract, before school. I always had a job before school. I, always
Hmm.
found a way to have some little bit of cash in my pocket. I, bought a car early on and just that kind of guy in general. Like I would, work and um, save money and, do the extra stuff to have a little bit of extra cash to do some fun things. Because
Yeah.
my mom and dad weren't really big supporters of just giving me money. My dad always would say, you can have a car when you can buy one, and that's what I did.
That's a great thing, I believe. That I've heard, I'm not one of them, that rich parents have a difficulty with that because their kids live in a world where they can have anything, so they force themselves not to give their kids the luxury, so they can fight by themselves and develop that kind of a mindset. And can we say that it's this kind of mindset that got you into entrepreneurship?
Yeah, I think so. I always enjoyed business, and when I first got out of high school, I I had my own cleaning company actually. At first, I got a couple cleaning contracts because I just liked that it wasn't that much time investment, and the qualifications were just that you could do the job and be consistent. So that was kind of the first thing that I did. And then while I had these other contracts, I also worked at a company setting up displays because there was an opportunity to travel. So I wanted to get that
Mm,
experience, and while I had the entrepreneurial bug and you know, at a much smaller scale with the cleaning business, I also like to work. I was a hard worker, so it was kind of those two things that I eventually combined into what became Astound.
that's interesting. So you never did you ever had a regular job later? Like when did you start at Astound?
Yeah, so I had a regular job for wasn't even really a full-time job for a few years. I'd say 4 years, and then I started Astound when I was 22 years old.
Wow, that's pretty young. That's pretty young. Actually, oh no, actually, I had a I had a sentence that I copied from one of your interviews, and you said when I started the company in 2000, I never could have dreamed of the heights we would reach, the projects that we would be part of, the brands we would work with, and most importantly, the people I would meet and relationships I would make. And when I read that for an entrepreneur like me, the first thing that came to mind is how you were able to get there. How did you go from, I mean, it was a long journey, I guess, but how did you go from this bedroom to the company you have today, 250 plus employees, right? Um, so, what were the milestones basically, and how did your mindset evolve through that journey?
So, I had a basic plan that I knew that I wanted to have a company that was part of the coolest projects, and I love design, and I loved seeing things come to life. So this it really provided an outlet for that desire and that opportunity. There wasn't really a typical business plan. It just really was one project at a time, and I took the route of like the 20-year grind, and I never took on any money. It was all fueled by sales, and it was just sort of one client at a time, one project, and adding people as it goes. And it moved from the second bedroom to a little space originally in Burlington, Ontario. Then
What were the
to
first thing you worked on? The first projects you worked on?
So yeah, the very first project for the company was actually it's a bit of a story. So the job that I had previously, they actually sent me over to Asia to set up an exhibit, and I met somebody over there in the industry, in the exhibit industry, that kind of changed everything. I helped him out with his setup that he was struggling with, and it kind of sparked a friendship. And from there, we had an idea that we were going to be the middleman, essentially, for Silicon Valley companies exhibiting in Asia, and that we would handle all the design, and we would, make sure that everything comes off perfectly, because we saw kind of a setup that didn't really make any sense. Like on one hand, you had all the Asian builders, craftsmen, like building up these amazing build and burn displays that were really elaborate, really beautifully done, but not really the same style that North American companies exhibiting at these shows would go for. And on the other end of the spectrum, we had crates and display properties being air freighted from North America, very expensive, like probably cost more in shipping than it did to build something from scratch. So the idea was, what if we could get these builders to build things that are and finish them in a way that that the North American clientele would want. And it's kind of a no-brainer, right? If you could save all that money, have it be managed, not have all that shipping cost. So that was kind of the initial idea, is that we would do that, and it ended up working.
Wow, that's great. That's quite specific and something only
Very
you
niche.
can know on the field. Yeah.
Yeah,
And
very niche, very kind of right market, right time. And it was a lot to do with the timing of, where the economy was at too. So it was opportunistic, and it just kind of ended up working. So that would be, kind of the luck part of the equation for sure.
nice. And then you worked on other projects and broadened your services and that you could offer to client one at a time. That's what you were saying?
Yeah. So, with the trade show industry, and this show in particular was called Semicon, and it traveled to all the different Asian countries. And you'd have all these exhibitors, these companies from all over the world that would come to meet and build up these displays for this industry. So that's where, once you have one, you know how to do it. We quickly branched out and got more and more clients, because the model just made a lot of sense. And it went from 1 to 2 to 3 to 10 clients at all of these on this whole circuit. So that really is what fueled the whole rise of the company at the beginning.
Interesting. Yeah, because from now, if you look at your company, even you can't just say everything you do. So it's quite I guess it's a lot, right? We think, how did you get there? And I guess there is no secret. It's one step at a time. Of course, I'm going to ask you more questions, but marketing and advertising and everything you do about that, but on the overview is that you took it one after the other.
Yep, just kind of one thing at a time, and then it worked in that industry, and we branched out to another industry, and I think that was really critical to the success is digging in and understanding what those customers want and what they need, what's important to them, what their style was, and how to service them. So, and every country was unique. So it was really digging in and focusing on the customer. And once we kind of had that framework, then it was quite transferable to other industries. It just maybe a little bit different wants or needs, but the basics are there, right? Like we just want to make the client happy at the end of the day.
Wow, very cool. And on a more personal level, did you have to coach yourself, if I can say so, or motivate yourself to push your boundaries constantly? Or did things happen one at a time with a sort of serendipity, just thinking about the client, like you said?
Yeah, a little bit of both. I guess, I guess I have like a natural drive and energy that that is needed to push things along. The work was fun, so it was quite satisfying to do work on a design with a client and then actually see it get built up and see everybody enjoying the space and everything, and that's the payoff, right? So yeah, that's really what keeps it going, enjoying the work and getting that payoff.
And what kind of obstacles did you encounter along the way? I guess you cannot go into the specifics of each project, that would take hours, but were there big obstacles on a personal level, on a business level as an entrepreneur that you had?
Oh, yes, never-ending obstacles. The first one being I had no idea what I was doing. So that was a pretty big one. And then you just learn, right? You just learn from mistakes and you figure it out. But it's just, yeah, so that was the biggest obstacle for sure, not having really a business background and not having that formal training. Like I mentioned, my 51% goal early days, I definitely kicked myself many times, wishing that I had more of a foundation, because it would have been a lot easier if I had some more formal training. But I kind of earned my MBA, if you will, the hard way.
Yeah.
Not that I have one. I still don't have one, but not formally.
What did you actually study? I didn't even ask you.
Oh, I finished high school and I started doing this. That was it.
Wow, pretty cool. Pretty cool. Yeah, so you really you learn along the way, and is there another method to learn, I guess? I don't really think so. Yes, you can have a foundation, but you are going to learn from experience anyways.
Yeah, well, I mean, like one thing that has always been my philosophy is like, is admitting what I don't know, like not trying to, not trying to do everything myself, not trying to be the smartest person. It's just really about making it happen at the end of the day and recognizing where experts are needed and then being able to put the whole thing together for a good result, right? That's really the trick. And because this kind of work is, it's a lot of logistics, a lot can go wrong. You've got the variable of clients and personalities and, all these different requests and subjectivity with design. And, it's a lot of variables. So maybe was the secret, that it's kind of these projects were maybe, thinking out loud here, maybe like microcosms of how business works in general. And
Yeah.
that's maybe what allowed me to learn, right? It's so quickly and to improve and grow.
But it is definitely a quality. Being able to say it's not just about me and it's just about making it happen, and I'm going to along the way, I'm going to just open my mind to different people as well. I guess that's how you started with this person that you mentioned, and then along the way, you open yourself to others and trust them to co-create something, and that's definitely a quality I can see from the outside. It's pretty interesting to see it that way.
Well, I mean, you've got a pretty cool podcast here. So, I mean, this is something I've never done. And I'm sure you're going through a similar thing because I would love to be a podcast host. It's
Yeah.
must be a lot of fun.
Well, it's definitely not as hard as what you're doing right now, which also leads me to my next question. What is the life of a CEO of such a large company? That's something I'm wondering. We see a company in magazine, and we hear about all the amazing things you do. What is a typical day for you, and is it how do you balance life and work?
Well, yeah, typical day starts really early. I try to take at least some time for myself by doing some sort of activity or just a little quiet time before everybody gets up, or some exercise. That's the best way to start the day. But since I've moved out to Las Vegas, I find there's a lot more pull to start earlier and to start getting on the phone a lot earlier. So typically I'm on the phone with people on the Eastern time,
So
6
what
a.m.
is
kind of thing.
early for you
Yeah, I
when
got
you
wake
wake
up
up?
like 5 or 5:30.
Wow, okay.
Yeah, every day. But I've got two little kids, so I'm forced to go to bed early. It's not too
Yeah.
bad. I actually probably get more sleep now than I used to.
All right, and then yeah, I guess you're on the phone and you have a lot of fires to deal with. Um, and yeah.
No fires. Everything is always so smooth. It's incredible. I just check in. Everybody's doing great, and I just say, "Okay, have a great day, everybody." That's the way it goes, right? I wish. No, that's yeah. There's always something, and especially with this dealing with this situation, we had 75% of our revenue vanished overnight. So
Wow.
it's been a real triage and a hustle to keep things together, and we pivoted like wild into all different sorts of things. But man, have we ever gotten better this past year? Just having to trim down, get things like really, really tight, and really focus on like a clear, definitive lines of business. And it's been as much as like I'm not happy that it happened or anything, but in another respect, we are so much better of a company as a result of this. Just all the noise getting turned off. We were a lot more organized and doing a lot, even better work, the quality, the level of
Oh, okay.
customer. It's been good.
Yeah, I want to talk about that. Last thing about this, something that comes up to me about you and this period. Um, how did you manage the stress? Because I guess it's a lot of stress when you lose that much, 75% of your revenue. How did you manage the stress and react to the situation?
Well, at first there was a panic, of course, when nobody
Hmm.
knew what the heck this thing was. I remember, I had flown back to Toronto, and I remember the early days. I think it was like in February, early February, and it was starting to get weird. My timeline might be a little off, but when I saw no people on streetcars and the reports started getting, way more doomsday, I remember calling my wife and saying, get a freezer, load it up with like frozen food, like I was
Yeah, we all did it.
was ready to, I didn't stock up on toilet paper, but there was the early panic days I remember well, and I was just like, holy cow, I knew early on, just because I have to be thinking about what's next in the future. I'm kind of tuned into that. I knew that this was going to be, disastrous, and there wasn't going to be any sporting events, and I felt that it was going to be bad. So I moved pretty quickly on triaging. Unfortunately, we had to lay people off. Like we had to move quick if we were going to survive, because it was just cancel. We just had to move quickly. We had no choice. We had to like get down to the bare bones and finish the work that we had in the hopper to finish. But the tap was pretty much turned down to zero for several months in terms of like things coming in the front door.
Yeah. Wow. Yeah, it was pretty rough for most companies, and especially if company like yours with trade shows and events, and wow. But you did something very cool. I saw that for COVID-19, you design kiosks and you shared the design with other companies so they could manufacture them. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah, so that was, it was an opportunity to do something good, and we wanted to amplify that. We wanted to be a part of the solution. We're problem solvers, and it was a great opportunity that came at a good time, and it felt right. It felt good. It was something that it just made sense to do, because it was a global thing, and why not share the knowledge? I actually had other conversations for other people in similar situations in the industry, like where we were, these other guys were making face shields, and we were making the kiosks for frontline workers to do check-ins and temporary hospitals, and it was we were helping, but we were also trying to triage and get some revenue in the door, so we didn't have to lay as many people off. So it was helpful, and it felt good to help at the same time.
That's awesome. And I saw in Inc. magazine, the top 100 companies best in business award, that you're second in marketing and advertising category. So what's so special about your marketing? What happened? How did you get there? That's how did you got this title, this position?
I didn't even know about that. I am excited. I am excited to hear about that. That's very cool. I will have to check that out. I guess just, doing what we do, I suppose.
How do you approach your marketing? Maybe that's a better way to phrase the question.
We take a very pragmatic approach. It's objective based. There's objectives, strategies, and activities that that fulfill on that objective. And I think just having a systematic approach of trying to solve the problem or project in front of us, and cutting to the core of what success looks like, and it just becomes a way of being. It becomes a repeatable kind of framework for success. We apply it to ourselves, we apply that to our customers, and I think maybe because we're rooted in execution and deadlines, like things need to happen, right? Especially in the event business. And I think that just kind of trickled through to everything else that we do now, like from the architectural projects to the digital development projects. Even though the output is quite different, it's a similar approach in that way of like driving at objectives and success and hitting deadlines, because it's pretty easy to get caught in the spin cycle, especially if you have a client that is maybe scattered themselves. Like it's our job to get them on a track, aiming towards their objectives, because if you let the client fall victim to their own vices or own maybe different executive stakeholders or whatever the situation is, we can get dragged down with it. And then, who gets blamed at the end? It's it's not, it's certainly not going to be them, right? So I think just guiding and leading and having that objective-based approach is critical for whatever we do. And then we can take on anything, like from making shovels to houses to I got to tell you about the houses. I hope you ask me about it.
Yeah, well, I'm asking you about it. Tell me.
Yeah, so it's pretty cool. We are officially house builders now, but not in the traditional sense. We have taken on a very interesting challenge that was brought on by the pandemic for migrant farm workers at farms. The housing situation kind of got highlighted because of the the nature of the virus, like being easily spread by people in close proximity. So the government kind of stepped in Canada there and said, this is no good. We got to protect these migrant farm workers. We got to impose some more regulations to make sure that people are further apart. So that, of course, forced the farm industry to respond and have to do something about it. And we had the opportunity to work on this problem with them. And because of our manufacturing background and ability to do, architectural projects and digital fabrication projects, we are now manufacturing low-cost homes.
Nice.
Yeah, it's basically like a migrant farmer village we are building, which is incredibly exciting. It's such a good story. I'm so excited to get the first one rolled out. It's
You're looking behind. There's one behind you.
No, I'm maybe. Oh, I'm on camera. I forgot. Yeah, I don't know.
No. But it's. What is the specificity of your approach with that? Why are you so excited about this project? I feel that it's a project that you feel more excited than the others right now.
Yeah, I really am. Just because it's kind of all the things that we've learned coming together. And I feel like we have a real opportunity here to it's a disruptive move, and that excites me because I've built a house before, my own project, so I know all the steps that goes into it, and it's not an efficient process. And if you build something in a factory, you have a lot more control over the quality and the processes and how things come out. Like when you imagine, a traditional home, there's all the different trades that need to be coordinated at different times. There's drawings and, potential for mistakes, or, when you think about a factory environment and using technology and digital fabrication and automation, you take away all those variables. And you can actually have a much higher quality product because you're in control. So and that's the approach that we're taking. It isn't that we're excited to be a home builder like a typical stick built, frame built house. That's not what's intriguing. What's intriguing is the different materials, different manufacturing approach, and it's potentially very disruptive, and it's a space that we want to continue to be in and explore. It's really exciting.
Wow, that's really cool. That's really cool. I can understand you're excited about it. There's something that intrigued me about your company as well, is that it often comes back how well managed it is. So apparently you are in the Deloitte 50 best managed companies, and that's something. So I wanted to ask you about that, about management, and maybe for you it's more about leadership as well. What is the your approach to high level management and how you got there?
Yeah, well, I mean, I guess it depends who you ask if we're that well managed or not. I feel like we are. It's like I said, it's been a lot of trial and error and getting people in place that are experts in what they do. We have really been focused on the customer and growth. So I feel like, truth be told, I actually don't feel like we are um, the greatest managed company. I feel like we have some really good key strengths that have contributed to our growth. And actually, to be honest, it's through this pandemic that I think like a lot of that growth kind of provided a little bit of shielding from some of our weaknesses to our infrastructure. And
Mm,
because we, have this time and this runway to figure things out, I look at it as an opportunity. Like there's no, good or bad. It's just learning. And if there are weaknesses, like let's talk about them. Let's fix them. So, maybe that in of itself is a quality that's required to grow and improve and everything. And
yeah.
we will be a very well managed company soon. It's just we got to get a little bit more organized and coming out of this situation.
Yeah.
I'm excited for the next phase where we will be very well managed. So I maybe I'm not taking that compliment very well, right? That's
It's okay. It's better to take it that way and be modest about it, or at least honest about it, because it shows that you have this honesty towards your company. So maybe that's also a part of it, and not brag about it. Definitely. So that's very cool. What is next for you, for Astound, and also for you?
oh, what's next? I'm just excited to come to get rolling again, getting things back to normal, just getting people back together. If people want to come back together and do cool things, which I think it's, in our nature to want to do, then
Yeah.
we will have no trouble being very successful at this because that's what a big part of our business is focused on that. And what's next is the Roaring Twenties. I think it's going to be a lot of fun, and we're gonna kill it.
Cool, cool, cool. I'm always asking my guests, do you have a couple, so it means one, two, three, up to you, a couple of tips you can give to people listening to us, career tips, tips in general for their lives, for entrepreneurs or people who want to be entrepreneurs, or just people who want to involve in their career?
For sure. That's just kind of off the cuff here. I'm probably not going to give you the best tips off the cuff, but what
It
would I?
doesn't matter.
Yeah, it doesn't matter. I would say, one foot in front of the other is probably the biggest one. Every day
Mm,
is a new day, and that it just what happened that day. Did you do what you were supposed to do to advance your objective? You can stretch a lot of days together where not much happened. Where sure you walked around and ate lunch and did whatever you did, but did you did you advance your business? So that was early on. Like
yes.
when I first started, was I treated it like a job. I woke up in the morning, got at it, and that's really the key is consistency, one foot in front of the other, one day at a time, advancing your objectives.
Yeah, it doesn't definitely resonate with me, and I'm sure with many listeners. That is great. Is there a book or another resource that influenced you, that touched you, or that you would recommend to other?
Yes, I've got two. One was what allowed me without the business background and training to start Astound and to organize it and get it rolling. And that was The E-Myth by Michael Gerber. I
Okay.
read that in one sitting, and it's a great book. Just describes how to organize and build a successful company. It's a really easy read. I think it's a conversation between somebody who owns a pie store and I think it might be the author himself or a business consultant, and it's just
Okay.
puts it in very simple terms and lays out the roadmap, and that's still really the framework for how we built the company today. And the other one that I really liked is a book called The War of Art.
Oh yeah, I read
And
that one.
oh, you did? Yeah, that was a Joe Rogan recommendation that
Okay.
I took, and that's a great book. I just love that. It's kind of like where that tip resonates and comes from. It's like that one foot in front of the
Yes.
other. Just do it, you know? And I love the comparisons between the amateur and the professional, and just kind of putting your emotions aside, being objective, and that's a great book. I love that book. It actually improved my golf swing even. I read that book,
Really?
and 10 strokes, I swear, 10 strokes after I read that book went away. It was incredible.
How come?
Just mental, just organizing things differently in your brain, thinking of them a little bit
Huh.
differently. And the key was I would step up and think, maybe my own ego getting in the way, thinking, man, I'm good at this. I should be good at this. This should go well for me because, I'm relatively athletic, and I can do this. But the golf ball doesn't care. The club doesn't care. It's all about execution. So as soon as you like drop your ego and think about like how things should stop thinking about how things should go, and just realize that, hey, all that matters right now is how I execute. And that is what ties into being a professional. That's what really matters is how you execute at the end of the day. What you think or how you feel, or rah rah, I should be good, I deserve this. You don't deserve anything. It's all what you do at the end of the day, and the results that matter. As soon as you set up those expectations or you drop those expectations, good things happen. Getting rid of the ego and deciding that it's up to you.
Wow, very cool. I think we cannot beat that. So I'm gonna free you and thank you for taking all this time for us and for the Creativity podcast. Dale, where do you want people to connect with you, or what do you want them to follow, to check out? Just tell me, and we'll put the link in the description.
Astoundgroup.com.
Yeah.
And if anyone wants to email me, it's dale@astoundgroup.com.
All right. No social media.
Well, yeah, Instagram and whatever, but just the company. I'm not, I haven't made an
Yeah.
attempt at being a social media star or anything. So you can follow me, but you'll be wildly disappointed. It's pictures of my kids in bushes and things like that. So nothing too exciting.
All right. No worries. Dear listeners, just remember to like and share this episode with a friend or colleague if you liked it. We are on SoundCloud, Apple and Google Podcasts, Spotify and YouTube. Dale, thank you so much for your time and input and all those advice. For me, it was great. And if for me it's great, I'm sure it will be for other people who think a little bit like me. So have a great day. I wish you the best.
Sounds great. Thanks a lot. It was a lot of fun.
Thank you.
Okay, take care.
Have a good day.
You too.
Bye.
Bye.